Hey, it's Drybear. The War Within expansion for World of Warcraft is just about upon us, and I wanted to do a quick video going over all the best leveling practices if you are new to World of Warcraft, or maybe you're just coming back and have forgotten. There's a lot of really easy tricks, items you can pick up, consumables you can apply that make your leveling experience infinitely better, so let's cover that in this video. Now, the first thing to talk about is going to be the new areas for the new expansion. I don't want to do any spoilers for anyone on story, but the general idea is that you are going to be going to this new continental area in the bottom left of your world map, Kaz Algar. You will land first in the Isle of Dorn, and then just like every other expansion before it for quite a while now, you'll have the option to bounce around to different areas in this. However, with the War Within, the strategy is a little bit different because we have a bunch of new systems that make this kind of leveling choice even better than it's ever been. The first thing to talk about is going to be the Warband System, which is going to make your leveling experience better and better as time goes on, and it makes alts even more accessible in World of Warcraft. See, in the War Within, you will have a warband, which essentially is a roster or a family for all of your characters in one region. So whatever server region you're on, all those characters are being conglomerated into one, and we're actually seeing this already on the pre-patch for live. But what's great about this is reputation is going to be shared between all characters, and you can transfer currencies as well. Another huge feature that has been added to the game as well is going to be the mentor buff that you get as you complete characters getting up to level 80. So when you first leveled from 70 to 80, if you have a max level character now, you will be getting normal amount of experience. However, for every character you get to 80, it will increase the next character's XP gain by 5% up to a maximum of 25%. So you can see if you have 8 or 5 level 80 characters in the War Within, that means every character that levels up to 80 and before level 80 up to that point will get 25% more bonus experience. So it's usually best to get one character to 80 at a time, get that buff active, it'll automatically apply to your entire warband, and then start working on your other characters if you plan to level multiple. Additionally, you'll unlock what's called adventure mode in World of Warcraft. And what this means is that when you do your first path from level 70 to 80 or 1 to 80, whatever your situation is, you will get through the main story campaign. And it's very important that you finish the main story campaign for your characters, your first character, get to level 80 and complete that, because what you'll do is you'll unlock a optional leveling path for every character after called adventure mode, where you can choose the route that you take through these zones. And this is not only awesome for keeping it fresh and keeping it interesting for your playthroughs, but also because, remember, we now have shared reputation across all of your characters. So if your main character takes a specific path to level 80 and your new character may take a different path in a different zone, you'll then be conglomerating all of that extra reputation together for Warband, which means that you'll be able to get all the specific reputations you need for each zone. So planning that out accordingly is going to be very beneficial. Now, when you first load in on expansion day, there will be a quest that jumps up for you. You can grab. It'll even give you an item in your inventory to teleport over to Silithus to start the expansion. And the expansion officially begins when you land here on the Isle of Dorn, and then you'll be able to progress through that and get that done. You're also going to have a large amount of general quests available as part of the main story campaign, so you want to focus on finishing these. However, there's also, as you can see on the map here, a lot of extra quests. So this character, I just landed on Isle of Dorn. I haven't started the progress yet. You can see that it's right here at the very beginning as we finish the intro sequence, which I won't spoil for you, and there's going to be a whole bunch of side quests. On your first character, you won't actually be able to hit level 80 with just the MSQ alone. You'll get pretty freaking close though. So generally, do 1 or 2 side quests along the way. You don't have to prioritize them. You want to get the zone campaigns done. Get the zone overall, the zone campaign for that area that you're in. Finish all of that, move on to the next zone, get the MSQ done. And if there's anything left over, you can start doing some activities that are available to you. Queue up for a couple dungeons, especially if you have quests for those dungeons, and then do a couple side quests, and you should be able to hit your first 80 pretty easily. And on average, for your average player, I estimate around 10 to 15 hours is how long it'll take to complete the story for the first time. If you are super optimized with some of the things we're about to talk about, you can probably get it down to maybe 6 or 7 hours. And for some people, that's super important because it means you can start doing your end game progress, start doing your Mythic Zero dungeons, your heroic dungeons with the new system that allow you to get your gear up faster so you can start building out for your vault and setting up for season 1. Additionally, there's a lot of great best practices when it comes to leveling that will speed up your process quite a bit. And we're start with some consumables that you can buy buy from the auction house that are at their all-time low price because Dragonflight is ending and all this old stuff is not going to be available, and you can use it for your leveling process. The first one is going to be the charged file of Alacrity. This one just gives you for 30 minutes, it gives you 744 speed. You'll notice that as you're playing through the expansion, you're going to be running around a lot. There's going to be some areas where you can dragon ride, some areas where you can mount, and some areas where you can't. And so your ground speed matters a lot in being able to clear these faster. And there's going to be a couple ways to maximize this speed to a ridiculous level, and it can save you a bunch of time of just running around. And it means that you can run through mobs as well, because if you move fast enough, you can actually outrange them, de-aggro them, and move to the next area without having to kill them in some cases. So the first one is going to be the charged file of Alacrity. You can see, at least on my server, it's down to 44 gold. If you wanted to, you can get the lower quality ones, but this one will give you a bunch of speed. Just have this active while you're leveling. If you're going to be leveling for a short period of time, this doesn't cost you a lot of gold, and it will keep up through that whole process and give you a bunch of speed. Next are going to be enchants, and there's 3 item slots that have excellent enchants, and I think it's probably best, if you want to be efficient, to just leave those items enchanted or re-enchant new items if you get new ones while you're leveling, but they don't provide so much stat value that if you were to leave them at level 70, it's going to be the end of the world. And the first one is going to be the Devotion of Speed enchant for your bracer. This one gives you 175 speed, period, flat, permanent. It's on your bracer. You're good to go. Very easy to pick up, and also currently extremely cheap. For your cloak, you have a few options as well. The one that's probably going to be the best is just going to be Fortified Speed. There's some limitations here. There is actually an awesome enchant for your cloak, Homebound Speed, which currently is limited to just the Dragon Isles. I don't know yet if it's been confirmed if it's going to be updated for other areas. This might be locked into the Dragon Isles. It's super nice because it allows you to lower the cooldown on your Hearthstone. We might get a new option for this, or maybe people will progress their enchanting and be able to, put it on a scroll for you and get other options there. So keep an eye on that, but just in case, you can just do a backup. Things like Fortified Speed will give you a nice speed boost as well. For the boots, you can run with Rider's Reassurance for mount speed, but my personal recommendation would be Planesrunner Breeze, which again gives you another chunk of speed. I think in general, when you can mount, you don't really need help going faster. The biggest downside is going to be when you're walking around, going through dungeons, going through tunnels, going through quest areas where you can't get on your dragon riding mount. It's going to be a lot harder to progress through that. So I think Planesrunner Breeze is the right way to go, and you can get these 3 enchants on your bracers, boots, and your cloak. Leave them there and use those as speed plus the Alacrity file, and you'll be zooming around all over the map. And the last item that you want to keep an eye on is going to be the Goblin Glider Kit. This one is a mainstay. Before this item was introduced, we ended up using other items or specific spells or engineering tools that allow us to glide. But now that we have a globally usable item, this has become the standard, the staple in leveling in a new expansion, because it allows you to activate a glider and glide down from high areas. Some characters like paladins or warriors can actually jump off high areas and avoid the damage they take, but that's not true for all classes in most cases. So having this is a great option, because you will go through areas that are higher elevation, and then you can get to the top of it and glide your way down without having to go all the way around, or using a Hearthstone, which can save you a ton of time. And it's not going to be as severe in the War Within as it was, say, in High Mountain. Looking at you, High Mountain, one of the worst zones, there was all peaks and valleys, but you will have some areas in most of the zones where you can glide down and save a ton of time or cover a ton of distance by using the Goblin Glider Kit. Usually for me, I usually only need about like 30 to 40 of these while leveling, but you can use it more or less depending on what your preferences are during the process. Then for optional items, I would lean on some of the old food or potions that exist in the game. I wouldn't overspend on these because it's not the end of the world, and it depends on what class and spec you're playing. Of course, if you're playing a tank or a healer, you probably don't need these as much, but if you're playing a pure DPS, it might be useful to have some of these on hand. There's a bunch of these really easy to pick up healing potions and some older level ones that are dirt cheap right now because they're outdated. You can pick up a bunch of these, and you can use this to pull more aggressively, fight mobs that are harder than usual, and use the potions and the food to keep yourself alive and recover afterwards if your class or spec needs that kind of boost. Next tip I have is going around and collecting all of your riding glyphs. This was a system that was introduced in Dragonflight called Dragon Riding, and you would go around through all of the zones and collect these glyphs. You can see one right here on this character that I just started, so you'll be able to see these all over the zone. There are actually tons of information online on the locations of these glyphs, but it's usually best in this situation to go and collect these as soon as you unlock flying / riding in the War Within. As soon as you have that available, then just fly through all the zones, gathering these as quickly as you can, because it's going to give you more options in travel and more flying options as well. That'll make the whole experience better for you. They look like these compass things that you'll see. They'll be in high areas, but once you have flying, you can go through and grab them all quite easily. And those are all the tips that I have for leveling in general. I'll go through some leveling guides for builds for classes that you might be able to use to just get through your leveling process. But otherwise, just have fun, enjoy yourself, explore the area, and test out the new systems. I have a video going over all of the new systems and content in the War Within, so you can check that out, link down below, if you want to see more about what's different in the new expansion. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.